And did you ever like? I don't even know what I'm asking really. It's more like because you've got these sounds in your head from listening to all the British rock, but you're not working on records like that at all. Were you kind of waiting for your moment to try and start making records that sounded like that, or it didn't? It was just you like one thing, you work on stuff. I just wonder how much you were sort of chasing your own vision of like the records you wanted to make.
I wanted to make rock records, to be honest. I mean, the Chic thing was fun, but I was more into, okay, when do we get to the rock records?
Right.
I shouldn't say that because I mean, God, making the Chic records was fantastic, and I'm really proud of them. I'm so glad that I was able to be part of that. But I grew up listening to rock music. I mean, I loved Motown and all that stuff as a kid, but rock is my main thing. The Beatles and the Stones and Traffic and the Who and Kinks. Like that kind of stuff is what I was my kind of my main thing that I listened to.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
but so the work on the Chic and Sister Sledge stuff actually kind of led you to the Stones, right?
I think it did. Yeah,
Because
yeah, because it was Atlantic Records, which is the Stones were on Atlantic, and then there was an A&R guy over there that I think suggested because they had the Stones had done "Miss You," and it was sort of a dance type record, and they wanted a 12-inch dance mix from it, and I think this guy over at forgot his name now, but of course, as I forget everybody's name, um, I think he suggested, oh, we'll try this guy Clearmountain. He's been doing these Chic records and Sister Sledge, and so then I did a 12-inch for Miss You, and then Mick really liked it. He said, "Oh, why don't you just do a single as well?" You know,
right,
and yeah, that's what got me started with them.
that's great. And for the people who don't know, because I think they hear 12-inch mix or whatever, and they assume it's a remix sort of thing. But this is you almost never
Yeah,
added stuff though, right? This was all using their raw material and then just
yeah,
arrangement, basically, doubling up
yeah,
sections, breakdowns, all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, there was a sort of a kind of a formula where you'd mix the record up to the like the middle eight, and then you'd go back to the first verse and take a bunch of stuff out, take all the vocals out, and maybe just break it down to the drums and percussion, and then add things in, and then you know take things out, and then you make it longer. Basically, usually it would be a 4-minute record, and it would end up being 7 or 8 minutes for a on a 12-inch single, and they play that in the dance clubs
Right.
so that it would go on for a bit, and we used to do that a lot. Yeah, and it wasn't like remixes are now where you just
Yeah, just give
disassemble
me the
things and
vocal and that's it.
add right and
Yeah.
add all this other stuff to it. No, we didn't add things. Some you might add a tambourine or something like that, or a bit of percussion, but that'd
Right.
be about it.
And so Mick
So
obviously liked it. I mean, especially doing the single version. So how different was the single version from the album version on that?
it's not that much different. The only thing is that I didn't realize it was. I think that the track sheet was mislabeled or something, so I didn't know there was a sax, and so unfortunately I left. I think it was Sonny Rollins or somebody like that.
Wow.
There was this sax solo that I didn't. I just left it off, and I didn't leave it off on purpose. It was a mistake. But for some reason, Mick was like, "Yeah, we didn't need that sax."
Wow. That's
Okay. I didn't find out until later, until afterwards.
that's
When I
really
heard the
funny.
when I heard the album version, I went, "Well, oh, there's a sax on there. Where was that sax? I didn't know about that."
Man. Well, and obviously that led to an unbelievably long relationship with the Stones.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, then they did. They were next album was Tattoo You, and it was a guy named. They had an engineer that I guess, recorded a lot of it and was had mixed a couple of songs, but had mixed one song, I think, and he had to go do something else and he couldn't finish it. So they called me up and so I finished it. We did a few overdubs, and remember we did the vocal for Start Me Up and a couple other songs and some percussion, things like that.
Right. Well, and unless I'm making this up, which the internet sometimes makes things up and then I repeat them, but it was called Start It Up, right? When you were
Yeah,
working on it?
originally it was called Start It Up. Yeah. Yeah, it was about a motorcycle. He brings it in and he sings it to me in my ear, right? We're standing in the control room and he's shouting. I mean, he's got a really loud voice, man. And he's screaming it in my ear. He goes, Start it up. It's about a motorcycle. All right. And so I said, well, go out in the studio and sing it.
Yeah, let's use a microphone.
Get away from me. And so he goes out and sings it. And somewhere in the outro of the song, he just sang Start Me Up. And all of a sudden I go, well, that sounds so much better. And Start It Up, it just sounds better. And then I just started thinking, well, Start Me Up. Then there's like this kind of sexual thing. And when he came in to playback, we listened back to it. And when it got to that point, I said, listen, where you said Start Me Up, that it kind of sounds cool, And he listens, he goes, oh yeah. Yeah, okay. And then he went out and he sang Start Me Up. So, it wasn't my idea. So don't get me wrong.
No. But picking up on something like that.
Kind of
and also,
pointed it out.
You being a British rock kid, it's got to be, you obviously had already been working with him, but still, it's got to be a little intimidating. Like, okay, now I'm recording vocals with Mick and I'm making a Stones record. So it takes some balls to actually like, hey man, what about that? So that's
right.
That's good. Were you worried at all? Or
no, it's funny what happens though, because at first when somebody like that walks in the room, holy shit, I'm sitting next to Mick Jagger, But then after you're working for a while, it becomes like any client. If it's Springsteen or whoever it is, it's just you're just doing a job. You know what I mean? It's not, unless you sit there and think about it, you're not thinking about it. You're thinking about, okay, what do we have to do to make this a proper record? What do I have to do to make it good? And not only that, but Jagger's great. He's very easygoing, really. And he's, he'll listen to whatever you have to say. He listens to ideas. Once in a while he'll just go, no, I don't want to do that. We're doing it like this.
Right.
Okay, yeah, great. And he's a real pro. He's just, that's why he is who he is. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And he'll take suggestions for sure.
And I've talked about this.
Springsteen's like that too.
I've talked about this a few times, and I think for a lot of the more successful artists, the studio is the one place where they get treated like normal people, and they just are doing something because they're working on it, and it isn't some weird contrived situation. And the really successful engineers are the ones who treat them like normal people.
Yeah.
It seems.
No, I think that's absolutely true. Yeah, because if you're sitting there and you're always like, oh my God, and you're asking questions about, oh, what about that girl you went out with back in '79? And they're like, dude, get away from me, leave me alone.
Yeah, because that's the rest of their
life. And I it's funny because I remember I had this girlfriend years ago who she wasn't really a groupie, but she could have been a groupie. And she would, oh, what did Mick say? Did he talk about such and such? I don't know. I didn't ask. I don't care about any of that stuff, I care about making the record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, I don't even think of bringing up scandals or whatever it is that somebody's got a problem with.
No. So obviously that went well. Tattoo You went quite well. And like I said before, if we just go chronologically, like we'll come back to some things because I know like Dusty's going to get really mad if we don't talk about Roxy Music and Brian Ferry for a while. And Dusty Wakeman gets what Dusty Wakeman wants. But let's just continue talking about the Stones for a bit because, you've had such a long relationship with them. And they've obviously they've gone off and they've made a bunch of records with Don Was, and obviously they had the history before you got involved, but you've kind of been there since then, on and off the whole time, and lots of live things. I mean, I think one of the few times I saw you, 15 years ago, was we crossed paths in an airport, and you were coming back from recording some of the live concert stuff that was going to be in the Scorsese film, and like you've just done so much for them. I'd love to just hear about kind of the relationship you've got with them as a band over so many years of their career.
Well, not much of a relationship as a band. Like I've
Really?
never worked with them as a band in the studio, which I would love to do. But Don's been working with them, and he's got this guy, his engineer, Chris Sharma, who's very good. He's really excellent at what he does, and I think he mixed that blues album. He did a great job, and so I'm the kind of the mixer, and I mean, lately, the last 10 years or so, I've been the guy that does all the live stuff, the live concert videos, things
Right.
like that. And, not so much. I mixed a few studio things. We mixed this one unplugged thing album. I forgot what it's called, Stripped. And a few things here and there. I've been trying to get Don to, let me mix some of these album stuff. But whatever. That's fine,
Right.
and but yeah, I mean, it's been a good. I just done. It's more the live stuff I've done with them. I did 2 movies for them. I did that, whatever it was called back in the '80s, which was a terrible movie, but it's not much of a record either, really. I don't think. But and then the Scorsese movie, which I think that one could have been better too, personally. But that was a fun project, though. Between working on the Stones and recording it at the Beacon Theater, which is a fun place to record. It's down the street from where I used to live and
Right.
my old neighborhood, and Scorsese is a trip. I mean, you're sitting there between Mick Jagger and Martin Scorsese. They're telling you what to do, and I'm telling them that. I remember the last day of doing the film mix, there was a problem with the console and with the automation, and it had turned Keith's guitar down like a dB, and I said, no, something's wrong, and they're looking at me like, no, it's fine. What do you mean? I said, Keith's guitar is not as loud as it's supposed to be, and Mick is like, Keith's plenty loud enough. Give me a break, And Scorsese goes, well, I don't know. It sounds fine to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And I go, sorry, guys. Here's these 2, Scorsese and Jagger, telling me I'm full of shit, right? And I go, look, I'm really sorry, but I asked the engineer, I said, could you just check? And he checked it out, and he goes, wow, yeah, it's off by about a dB. Well, all
Well,
right.
yeah. Well, though I mean, and that's one of the weird things about so many of the Stones records. I mean, the story is you can always tell who was in the control room last because it's either Keith's guitar is really loud or the vocals really loud, but
Right,
never
yeah.
both. It's
Right,
always one or the
exactly.
other. So Mick's probably just saying, "Man, that sounds exactly like all the songs I was in the control room last for. That's perfect.
Right,
Let's go with
yeah,
that."
exactly. Yeah, but it was fun, and and there's always stuff like that. Scorsese always wants everything louder. he's just he's like he's an interesting character.
Yeah. Well, we could talk more about him if you want, or we can move on.
No,
Let's
it's okay.
okay.